protocol like 750 milligrams with 300 milligrams of alpha GPC across 3 times per day. And just make sure that you're consistent with that at least twice per day. Errol, somebody asks, what is the strongest nootropic? Phenylpiracetam. I really feel that if you look at the rewards versus risk, I feel that phenylpiracetam is really, really special. It does things that modafinil doesn't. The physical energy that you get from it is really profound. It's been my experience that on days when I'm sleep deprived, I like phenylpiracetam more than modafinil, because modafinil will help. It will help you somewhat have some mental clarity, but your physical energy isn't really there. Like ideally you want, ideally it's like on a day when you're sleep deprived, some phenylpiracetam, have a great workout, and then you're just good for the whole day. Although, let me know what your feedback is, because I may just be somebody with a very low tolerance, because like even a dosage as small as like 70 milligrams of phenylpiracetam is very effective for me. Like very effective. If I take 120 milligrams, I can't sleep within probably 14 to 16 hours. All right, somebody asks, what are the potential disadvantages of nootropics? The potential disadvantages of nootropics are that there are not a lot of studies done on them in younger people. People like myself, I'm in my late 20s, or people in their 30s. Most of the research is done on the category of people who have some sort of issue, whether it's Alzheimer's, some sort of dementia, or elderly people. There's a lot of concerns whether they're safe to take long-term. And then lastly, just the expense. I'm spending over $1,000 on nootropics, happily doing so, and it adds up. Somebody asks, what is better, modafinil or armodafinil? That is such a great question. Depends on what you're using it for. Armodafinil is better if you're sleep deprived, in my opinion. You're actually able to nap when you're on armodafinil, which you can't do when you're on modafinil. Modafinil is better for focus. Armodafinil better when you're sleep deprived, and armodafinil better if you're somebody that's engaging in a lot of conversations. It's funny, somebody asked the question of, can you make a stack, like a stack for a different group of people? Because a stack for an architect would be different than a stack for an entrepreneur, which would be different for a stack that somebody who's making presentations or just has some sort of social aspect to their job. Have nootropics help you advance your career? If so, what kind of nootropics? Oh yes, absolutely. To think of my life without nootropics over the past 7-8 years, I wouldn't even want to think about it. Wouldn't even want to go there. Are the effects of, somebody asks, are the effects of modafinil consistent? Are there days when it just won't work? It's been my experience that the effects of modafinil are consistent. Where people notice inconsistencies is where they're taking other nootropics along with them. And naturally, that is going to result in it being inconsistent. If one day you take modafinil by itself and the next day you have modafinil with some phenylpiracetam or something else, then you will feel different. I've not noticed myself personally build any sort of tolerance to modafinil, which I really like. Somebody says, is it good to take modafinil during exams? No, this is not something that you just play with. It's strong. You should be responsible. You should only introduce it if you need to, or if it's something that your GP recommends. I have found that as a student, yes, it's very effective, specifically with learning retention. Your ability to like speed read or increase that is just, it's very significant. With modafinil, I have noticed something just lately, and that's why I'm sometimes still using it, in that on those days when I have modafinil, almost everything I go through that day, I don't remember it as well. Like if I was to attend a seminar and I'm on modafinil, the following days and the days after, I don't remember that seminar as well. And it could just be because in order to learn stuff, there has to be some sort of emotion involved. And modafinil, it just mutes your emotions. You're just in a good state all the time. Hey guys, speak up. Fallon's Fox, you're always here. I appreciate that. Cupcakes, yum. It's nice seeing some it's nice seeing a lot of different people, but it will just be such that the time zone works for people. So let me know your feedback. I want to know in terms of if I were to do this in the future, what time do you prefer it at? I find this is somewhere ideal, given that there's different time zones. What is the best nootropic that you currently use that is able to be purchased? Phenylparacetam. What is your review of Huperzine A? Mine was, somebody's asking, what is my review of Huperzine A? Mine was worse. I was prescribed antipsychotic because of paranoia caused by that. So if you don't mind just clarifying the question, I'm curious to know in terms of, was the psychosis caused from the Huperzine A? Huperzine A, it's not often discussed because it's just a very weak nootropic. But there's entrepreneurs like Tim Ferriss and other people say that it's very good for language learning. Well, if you were to ask me, a lot of entrepreneurs push Huperzine A because it's one of the safer things to take. It's been around for a very long time. I use Huperzine A for 1 to 2 years, just cycling on and off of it, telling myself, okay, maybe it'll work now, maybe it'll work now. I didn't notice anything last time. Let me try adjusting the dose. Didn't do anything for me personally. I don't take it. And I haven't been tempted to take it either. Unlike this little bad boy here, I want to know what your thoughts are on, let's see if we can get that, Phenibut, because people ask me to make a review on Phenibut, but what they don't know is I haven't reviewed it because I haven't noticed anything from it. It's on my channel, unfortunately, I can only talk about maybe 14 or 15 different nootropics because the other nootropics are stuff that I've tried which have not worked for me or haven't done anything. So what's the point? I'm not going to make a video with theory. If I were to make videos on theory, then I would just be like everyone else. But what I want to do for everyone to really bring them value is just in essence say what works for me, what's the practicality of the nootropic. How has Phenibut been for you? This is from Nootropics Depot, HCL. Hasn't done much for me, surprisingly. Fallon's Fox, feel free to ask a question. We'll continue. Michael D. Huang, you've been helping me so much. Awesome. My job is a quantitative researcher. What does that mean, a quantitative researcher? What do you do? What cognitive stack and memory do you recommend with my ADHD meds? Ritalin. Also, thank you so much. I've been taking Bacopa Synapsa every day. Memory, yeah, I'm glad you acknowledged Bacopa because Bacopa is by far the strongest nootropic when it comes to improving your memory. Here it is for all of you. If you're unfamiliar with it, I've made a few videos on it because I'm really a believer in Bacopa Minieri. Dosage is something like 300 milligrams across 2 to 3 times per day. Have it with water. It doesn't matter if you have it with a meal or you have it with water. Side effects to be concerned about. Little bit of demotivation to some extent. Some people report feeling a bit tired. This is another nootropic which I have a very low tolerance to because when I ingest this, from the moment I took it, I could feel it. Similar to rhodiola, little bit of this increased alertness, and you just feel like present. It's like if you were to compare that to having a good session of mindfulness of like focusing on your breath. So to answer your question as far as what can help with memory, you're on Ritalin, which means Ritalin is naturally going to overpower most of the other nootropics. I'm curious to know if you've tried Noopept. Not that I would recommend you do, but if it's just because, of course, it is important that you stay safe. And Ritalin is pretty strong, but with Ritalin, it only lasts for a very short period of time. So cognitive stack could be something like Noopept. Make sure you're having alpha GPC. Alpha GPC is just like inserting a bunch of batteries to your system. Everything's going to work better. And memory, I think you're on point. If you want to improve your memory even more, then you can check out the Racetams, Piracetam, and oxiracetam, and maybe aniracetam would help you both. Would help you very significantly with memory. Dosage is something like 500 to 600 milligrams 3 times a day, with a choline source like alpha GPC 3 times per day. Cupcakes Yum says, Owen, what is a good nootropic for sleep? this pandemic has disturbed my sleep patterns. I'm wondering why this pandemic is disturbing your sleep. I would think that you have better sleep. You know, to fall asleep, some healthy options which work: valerian root, also zinc and magnesium, like a nice product, ZMA. Tribulus potentially could help. I don't like melatonin too much because the brand really has to be one which works for you, and it's going to take a lot of trial and error. What a lot of people report with melatonin is that they either wake up groggy or they wake up in the middle of the night. I do like it sometimes. It has its uses when I'm sleeping in a fashion which is different than my usual schedule. If I sleep at a consistent time every day and then one day it's a bit different, right? Guys, we have 16 viewers. Not many people are speaking up. Hey guys, it helps the YouTube algorithm if you give this a thumbs up. And if you just joined, then I really would hope that you keep this conversation clean, keep all your questions clean, meaning within the YouTube rules. We want to stay by the rules. There's only so much things I can discuss here. The past few live streams I was not able to post because a lot of people were asking about particular stuff that basically isn't allowed, right? So I had to post those over onto my Patreon page. Okay, next question. Cupcakes Young, yeah, I would imagine you're still here. Cupcakes Young, let me know if that answered your question about sleep. I want to know more. Are you sleeping and you're not feeling rejuvenated? Are you having issues falling with sleep? When you say sleep issues, everybody has sleep issues. Nobody has perfect sleep, right? So just a matter of what's wrong. Nawaf Muslim says, Mike, talk about long-term effects of nootropics like Racetams and Nootropics. I mean, gains in brain function and such. Nawaf, if I'm assuming that you mean by that question the positives, meaning what are the positives of taking nootropics like Racetams and Nootropics, you'll find that after dosing it consistently for about 2 weeks, your energy is much better, your motivation specifically is better, and your recall. Those three things. Your motivation will be better. And how do you measure that? You'll really be less inclined to do things that are unproductive. Like if you're wasting a lot of time just maybe on YouTube or Netflix, less desire for all of that, more desire to be productive and just be objective about things. I have noticed one downside with the Racetams is they make you so motivated that you just neglect your social life. Like I neglected my social life for a long time. Yeah. Someone says, and when I say somebody, that's their name. Nice channel name, by the way. I also used Modafinil in the past, but was also the type of guy who was paranoid personality. So I think Huperzine A probably amplified these traits. Yeah, that's important. It's probably not the Huperzine A which had led to some sort of form of psychosis. It could have been the Modafinil or other stuff that you're taking. Fallon's Fox say, can you explain why you need to go through a loading phase with the Racetams? I seem to experience an acute effect that becomes less notable with everyday use. It would depend on the Racetam. You're probably referring to phenylpiracetam. Phenylpiracetam is one nootropic where with every day that goes by, the effects will diminish. With the other ones, that's just naturally how they're meant to work, right? Not a lot of people notice like Onnit or piracetam working the first time you take it. I have noticed that oxiracetam, you feel a little bit of a boost, a little bit of alertness upon ingestion, which is nice. Late Night Green Tea says, I've never noticed much from Nootropics Depot. Phenibut, try Lift Modes brand. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's what a lot of people have recommended, that if you're not noticing benefits from Phenibut, then purchase it from somewhere else. So I will be mindful of that. Michael Huang says, I haven't tried Noopep, definitely will be trying it out since you recommend it. And my job title is a QR, which means you're engineer at hedge funds and you develop programs and algorithms. So you're basically in a job which is about processes. Really, you have to refine your analytical skills to the best of your ability. That being said, then I would ask you, have you tried Lion's Mane? Because knowing that Lion's Mane has one thing which has helped me to gain some sort of analytical edge, an informational edge. You're just more likely to see all your problems and your issues from different perspectives, see them in more depth, find different ways to solve them. Kind of like physics, you know, there's so many ways to solve things, right? Fallon's Fox, thank you for that. Someone says, also, why don't you do some type of promotions for your YouTube, because you have really good reviews of the nootropics? I don't know. That's a good question. I've just depended on growing the channel organically, and just with you guys, like your help through the algorithm, just responding to everybody's comments, encouraging people to share the channel with people who they know, or if they're comfortable with it, just sharing it on their Facebook page. That helps. J Rose says, nootropics don't work. J Rose, I appreciate that. If you don't mind, then please share, how did you end up on this channel? Tony says, best nootropic for brain growth. I would recommend, if you would look up the term, let's just see if I can get my iPad out. There's a term that everybody should be knowledgeable. I would hope they do if they're on this channel. It's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And that, in essence, is building the synapses to become smarter. And you can achieve that through nootropics. Let me just see if I can do this through my iPad. Ways to increase your BDNF. I know lion's mane is one, C-Max is one, even vitamin D is one. I wouldn't depend on the Racetams or substances of that nature to improve your intelligence, because they're just going to help you be more focused. Modafinil, stimulants, caffeine, they're really just going to make you dumb, if you were to ask me. It's, yeah. So what is BDNF? It's a protein which can be thought of as brain fertilizer. It helps the brain to develop new connections and protect healthy brain cells. It's when BDNF levels are high, acquiring new knowledge is easy, memories are retained, and people feel happier. So yeah, guys, I can maybe talk about that in a future video if it's helpful. So 10 ways to boost brain function: exercise, avoid sugar, intermittent fasting, supposedly, mental stimulation, eating oily fish, some sun, curry/turmeric, blueberries, do something to reduce stress. Obviously, make sure that you're getting good sufficient sleep. Andreas Love, I've heard that uridine has effects on dopamine. Any thoughts? Yeah, uridine was pretty effective for me. I wouldn't be buying it again, just because you can't like buy everything. It's kind of reacted similar to paracetam or even alpha GPC does. Nawaf, to clarify the question, okay, so do you think if you stop, okay, does he think if I stop taking nootropics now, would I be smarter than before taking noots regularly? If you were to compare my state now, or you mean to compare my state before? And I can't do that because I started taking nootropics when I was so damn young, right? Overall, I'm a better person now than I would be in a year if I'm not on nootropics, without question. Jacob Golda says, hi, mate. I've ordered Adrafinil and Senifram, and I've tried both of them and not noticed anything. I increased the dosage and still not any effects. Modafinil does the job perfect for me, by the way. Very cool. Adrafinil, you don't notice much from if you take Modafinil, because Modafinil is so much better. Adrafinil is more so just something you can get, So yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm wondering why, Jacob, you went off of Modafinil if it was serving you good. Guys, we've got 17 viewers. Let me know where you're from. Say hi. You let me know you're here. Even if you don't have a question, I really appreciate everybody's contribution. Even when you say, I just purchased this and I'm really liking it, or I learned in one of your videos something, right? Someone says, have you tried isochronic tones? They're like binaural beats and seem to have an acute effect. Yeah, 100%. I'm a believer in them. When I was studying for exams, I used binaural beats, or just anything you could find on YouTube. There's some good links if you look up YouTube study music, or my favorite is even Baroque music, like classical. Now when I'm working, I have a Baroque music playing in the background a lot of the times. It just helps me stay focused. Jamal, what do you recommend for getting mundane tasks done? Man, that's a great question. I love great questions. Thank you for that. Pramiracetam, because pramiracetam, you are able to go through repetitive tasks. You find them more interesting. You have the energy to go through with them, and you're able to endure that repetitious boredom. Racetams. I believe I have it here. Oh my gosh, I love this stuff. Just makes me so happy thinking about it. This is Racetams capsules, 180 count. I bought that from Nootropics Depot. And yeah, little small pills. Oh man, I only have a couple left. That's sad. Dude, if you're gonna buy this, if you are going to choose to buy it, I'm warning you, get the capsules. I don't say that often. This is probably my top 3 worst tasting nootropics. But that's what this does. You take it 3 times per day, even twice per day. It's going to be very effective. You may notice results as soon as you take it from the first time, right? And yeah, dose it with a choline source like alpha GPC. So a good place to start could be like 200 to 300 milligrams of Racetams with 200 milligrams of alpha GPC 3 times per day, and it will really help you. Has for me in the past. I was at a phase when I needed to look for business for 5 hours a day, and I really attribute me being able to do that to Racetams. We're talking about the old-fashioned way: cold calling, knocking on doors, all of that. I'll just leave this bad boy right here. Someone says, why do you say that stimulants make you dumb? Is it because of the tolerance issues? No, stimulants just make you dumb. Look at caffeine, look at Modafinil, look at the stuff people take. It lowers blood flow to the brain. Although it will increase your focus, it can energize you. There's some studies showing there's antioxidant benefits. For a lot of stimulants, like specifically coffee, they are, notice that you're always focused and you're stimulated, that you never have those natural insights. You're going to have linear growth in your life unless you have like a nice profound insight, or something happens and somebody gets introduced to your life, right? For whatever reason, like a mentor, excuse me. There's studies done on that. Look it up. Caffeine, downsides of caffeine lowers, I think it prevents growth in the hippocampus. So for those of you with kids or people in your teenage years or maybe early 20s, just be mindful of your caffeine intake. Over here, the government says something like 350 milligrams is a good dose for most people per day, not more than that. Depending on the cup of coffee, maybe that's 5 cups of coffee a day, not exceed that. Tony says, best natural nootropic. If you mean natural, meaning like a herb, not man-made, oh, that's a good question. Best natural nootropic. L-Tyrosine, maybe because I'm just looking at it. I feel like having some. Oh man, I love this stuff. I love this stuff too. L-Tyrosine, I say it's natural because you notice the stimulation from the first time you take it, or I do anyway. And this is an amino acid that's found in egg whites. It's found in chicken breast. But beautiful things happen when you take it independently, meaning you ingest it in its free form. It's ideally when you're fasted, or ideal, you know, after with some considerable time after a meal. Like the longer you're fasted, the more effective the stuff is. Its ability to fight stress. I made a video on it. I'm really a believer that this stuff does work. Unhinged Toker, anyone have an account? No, can't help you there. Yeah, Fallon's Fox. That's Fallon's Fox says they notice the acute effects from Aniracetam and Piracetam, but they must cycle them. That's really cool. Aniracetam, I did notice the acute effects from. Piracetam, not so much. And that just goes to show you that unfortunately with the Racetams, it is very person by person. Like the effects are highly variable between people. That's why I haven't put a lot of videos on the Racetams out there, because there's particular ones which work for me: Aniracetam, Pramiracetam, Oxyracetam, and Piracetam. But there's other Racetams which work better for some people, right? Know what works for you. In essence, if I was in your position, then I would lower the dose and I would take it only when needed, right? It's obvious. Hey, Trav, you're here from Miami. Cool. So we're in the same time zone. Miami. It'd be nice to get some Miami weather. Good vibes all the way here from India. It's almost 5 a.m. here. Awesome. Curious to know whereabouts in India are you from? I'm in a phase of watching a lot of Bollywood movies or Hindi movies, not all the time, but like once a week, and I enjoy them. It's just a different world than what it is here in North America. By the way, guys, I'm in Canada. I've been born and raised. I'm born and raised in Canada, although I visit the U.S. a few times a year. So I'm a North American, you could say. Jacob says online prescription. So I tried an alternative, but I've managed to have it back. Okay, cool. What is closest to modafinil? L-Tyrosine and caffeine, but that's short lasting, and phenylparacetam. If you're looking for a euphoric type of feeling, the combination of L-Tyrosine, caffeine, and yohimbine fasted, its mood enhancing effects are far better than modafinil. Guys, I'm almost caught up on questions, so feel free, just add your questions, add your contributions, say where you're from. And again, if you just joined, let's keep let's keep all of our conversations and our questions relatively clean. Nootropics for reading. How much do you read daily? How much do newts help in reading and learning? Good question. How much I read is dependent on what books I have and what I'm excited to read. Like there's books back here, there's books over there. To get books, I actually go to the library every few weeks, which I can't now, and I just pick up like 9 or 10 books. It's free. You can just grab them. You can see titles in front of you. Otherwise, every morning while I'm working out, like between my sets, I'm reading on my Kindle. Like this is something I'm reading today. It's called Building. I don't know if you can see that. Oh shoot, it's not showing up. It's a book called Building an Empire, and just talks about pretty much the business building. And show you my Kindle. Better yet, actually show you my Audible. Wait, no, this isn't a good example because what am I yeah, that's a bad example. Cool, here's some books which I've read. Tribe of Mentors, YouTube Algorithms, Brain 2.0 about nootropics, Damon John, Power of Broke, ABCs of Success, Becoming by Oprah, The Power of Habit, 4-Hour Work Week, of course. Michael Lewis. I've really just, man, I've read most of the popular books, or the popular business books anyway. So I'm just kind of out of books. There have been periods when I was consistently reading 80 to 120 pages a day. And yeah, I just enjoyed that. I like reading. If you were to ask me, I like reading more than Audible personally. Audible is great for those for those periods, those intervals where you're just waiting for time to pass, like you're brushing your teeth, you're shaving, you're driving. But the issue with Audible is it's very hard to like get the most out of a book. There's going to be parts which you don't hear, and as well, you don't have the benefits of the visuals in the book. In the book, there's graphs, there's visuals, and those very often are really, really helpful, obviously, which can't be included in Audible, right? So how newts can help you in reading and learning. Modafinil is very good at reading quicker, if that's the issue. Bacopa will help you to retain information better. Rhodiola will help you with fatigue. Everybody is a better reader earlier in the day. And then as the day progresses and gets longer and longer, they find that their reading speed is worse, their learning retention rate. So check those out and stay away from stimulants. It's not been my experience that caffeine and other stimulants really help you with your reading. You're too distractible and you don't retain the information as well. Newts for Jacob says, in order to receive, I think I answered your question, Jacob. Let me know if I haven't otherwise. What is the best, Andrea says, what is the best nootropic or compound for increased mood and sociability? I would make a stack of Noopept, Alpha GPC, and Aniracetam. The other nootropics, unfortunately, will help you too much analytically to get it like an informational edge or refine your analytical skills, but they will not help you socially. Actually, most of them will help you too much in being analytical that you're not social. And yeah, kind of like the more intelligent you are sometimes, the worse it is on your social skills. You know, you just got to dump things down and keep things simple sometimes. This is Pracetam, though, one of the nootropics that I'll pretty much always be taking. I like it a lot. It's 800 milligrams. You can take an attack dose similar to creatine, but it's not a requirement 2 times to 3 times per day, along with the source of choline. My favorite is alpha GPC. There's your alpha GPC. I like this in the powder form because I can dose it accurately. There are times when I want to have more alpha GPC than others. For example, if it's a day where I'm taking modafinil, I would want to take more alpha GPC and water just to reduce the occurrences of headaches. And as well, taking alpha GPC first thing in the morning, or like pre-workout, you'll find it'll help you with your power output. There's studies done showing that alpha GPC helps you with improving your growth hormone, believe it or not. Had some of this today. I'm going to have some more. This is Rhodiola rosea. This will help you to fight fatigue. Do you have experience while taking Racetam? I don't remember if it was that one or Racetam. You can ask me the next time, but I believe I took it and I didn't notice anything from it. Victor M, phenylpracetam or Pramiracetam, what's the best start to Racetams? Pramiracetam, if you notice results from it, then phenylpracetam could be worth checking out, although I don't feel like you can compare the two. Phenylpracetam is an agent which is very stimulating. You can't take it often, whereas Pramiracetam you can. Like Pramiracetam is the type of thing 3 weeks on, 1 week off, whereas phenylpracetam is like, don't even go 4 days consistently with it because you'll experience withdrawals or some sort of decrease with your energy levels. Here from South Carolina. Wicked. Awesome, Jonathan. I've seen you on my channel before, so I appreciate you tuning in. Bromantane or 9-MeVC. I believe I've tried Bromantane. I'm not sure. I think I tried it and it didn't do much for me. Do you know what can help heal dopamine receptors caused by overstimulation? That's a great question. Rhodiola rosea and L-Tyrosine. If you take these 2 to 3 times per day, it will really help you. I also made a video which became very popular. Actually, it's called "How to Overcome Adderall Withdrawals," and I went and basically ran through a step-by-step guide because adrenal fatigue. I believe it's a real thing, and it's somewhat new to research. There's not a lot of evidence done on does adrenal fatigue exist. So look at the adaptogens, hydrate, and if you're feeling tired, because that's what's likely, then just take naps. That really helped me. When I was cycling, when I went off of Concerta, which is something I was taking for ADHD, I really experienced bad withdrawals, and that was basically what helped me. Yeah, L-Tyrosine and Rhodiola rosea. Hello from Austria. Wicked. Great. Zedidai said, when's the last time you saw Limitless? Oh, that's a long time ago. Maybe 4 or 5 years. I've probably seen the occasional clip on YouTube about it. Great movie. Really eye-opening. I enjoyed it a lot. What would you recommend to heal the brains as a result of long-term use? Oh, that's a good question. I'm getting this question more often. Oh, Travis, you on my Patreon, I remember. We've talked about this there, so I don't know why you're asking here, but that's okay. Support a healthy lifestyle. Get 3 to 4 grams of fish oil in your diet. Make sure you get your fish oil from a good brand if you can afford to, as a lot of the fish extracted for fish oil are extracted from polluted water bodies. Be mindful of that. Make sure you're hitting all your multivitamins, all your micronutrients, vitamins, minerals. Buy a proper multivitamin, not just like a gummy or a 1 capsule thing. Get something with 3 or 4 capsules. That's how you know it's doing its job. Eat healthy fats, eat Brazil nuts. That may help. You get a nice combination of polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and saturated fats. That could help. And be mindful, of course, of when it comes to stimulants. Get off of them. There's no need for them. Just have patience with the process. Oregon. Do you have any stacks that you can suggest for phenylpiracetam or Adrafinil? Different stacks. Phenylpiracetam, what I would suggest is the adaptogens. So Bacopa, ashwagandha. Let's see if I can stack. It's funny, stack. I'm actually stacking them. These 3, these are great. Specifically for use when you're on phenylpiracetam or even when you're on Adrafinil, because they are going to make you so focused. But with phenylpiracetam, you're so focused that you can't judge what the right things are to focus on. I took some phenylpiracetam yesterday, and yeah, I was just way too much energy. that I needed to go for a run, but I'm here in Canada and it was too cold outside at the time. I'm from the northern part of India, Punjab. Awesome, great. Not many Racetams are available in India except Racetam. That's not true. I don't believe that. I mean, ashwagandha is almost like everybody knows ashwagandha in India. It's funny. So the quality may be questionable because the pharma companies produce them. Any suggestions? I don't think that you've looked thoroughly enough. A lot of the stuff that we discuss on the channel are herbs that are pretty healthy, healthy things to ingest. Most stuff you can even recommend to your parents because they have antioxidant benefits, right? So I wouldn't know how to answer that. I apologize. Okay, guys, I'm almost caught up on questions. I can stick here for a couple minutes longer. Let me know what your questions are before we hop off, guys, or let me know where you're from or what you want me to discuss in a future video. As far as new videos coming up, I have one on rhodiola rosea, which you'll really like. That's coming out, I think, tomorrow. Next one is on oxiracetam. It's very in-depth. And what else? I'm reviewing Qualia Mind or Qualia Focus, which is a nootropic. A nootropic that basically has and encompasses all the major nootropics in one kind of serving. We're talking like 14, 15 nootropics, but it doesn't have that many servings per capsule per box. Stack recommendations with lion's mane. Depends what you're taking it for. Lion's mane is going to help you with anxiety and depression and increase your work capacity. It may not increase you so much with energy levels and with motivation. So a stack that can go nicely with lion's mane are the Racetams. In terms of like when I first started taking nootropics, my order of, I've never talked about this, but I've never talked about this, but this may be helpful. The way I initially started was with the Racetams first. I mean, this is excluding everything for workouts. So excluding L-Tyrosine, excluding caffeine, excluding pre-workouts. Racetam first, talking like 11 years ago. I added this and choline bitartrate. I tried different forms of choline as well. Then I added Noopept and the other Racetams, Pramracetam, Oxiracetam, and Aniracetam. Noopept, I just love the stuff. I bought it in capsules and I took, man, I think I took too much of it because I experienced a little bit of withdrawals afterwards. Really good results. And then I introduced, rhodiola, and then bacopa, and then I think lion's mane afterwards. So all the nootropics before that worked really well with lion's mane. And then afterwards, it was when I discovered other things and discovered like ashwagandha. This is KSM 66. I'm not a believer that this will help you that much with productivity. It's more just a nootropic you will take to enjoy the process more, be a little bit unattached to the outcome, maintain a state of calmness. You'll never find yourself in that like fight or flight type of mode when you're on ashwagandha. You'll never be overly stressed, and I think that's really cool. I can't think of another nootropic that has the same effects. Someone apart from the herbs, Racetams particular, yeah, the Racetams, that's true, and the Racetams, even here, you're not the only one. It's not easy to get a hold of. Victor M, I've not found that. Victor M is asking about differences with the serving of rhodiola rosea or the brand. It's not been my experience that the brand has made much of a difference. There's not one brand which I haven't reacted positively to. They're pretty much all good. I wouldn't, if you're not noticing results, then look at it. But overall, not a lot of places are shipping stuff out. Just find something, right, and see how that goes. Like, yeah, I think rhodiola is the most consistent nootropic across different brands. I never feel different taking one brand versus another, just provided that I'm taking it at the same dosage. What else have I not discussed here? Because I wanted to go through everything. This is uridine monophosphate for whomever asked. Very, very powerful for just increasing overall cognition, memory, energy levels, motivation, to fight fatigue, increase your work capacity. Phenibut, that's Pramracetam. I don't have Aniracetam here, but I'm taking Aniracetam, maybe like 3 times per day. How did you become so amazing? I don't know. Maybe it was the nootropics. I'm a believer in the stuff. And this is the phenylprastime I mentioned I took yesterday. I took about 70 milligrams of it along with modafinil. Like it a lot. Guys, if you have any last questions, then just please do contribute and share. Unfortunately, ashwagandha hasn't helped lower my stress levels after a month of use. Well, you're also taking other stuff. Now that I've talked to you a little bit, I'm beginning to see your stack and stuff. So if it hasn't lowered your stress levels, taking ashwagandha, then change the dosage. I don't know if you're taking it consistently. This is something I only notice results with if I take it at least 2 times per day, ideally 3. I find it's not stimulating, but I wouldn't take it before bed. This, Bacopa and Rhodiola rosea, and then, you know what, I'd probably rank it in this order. In terms of if you're talking about stress, fighting off stress, maintaining a nice peace of mind state, ashwagandha first, very close second lion's mane, then Rhodiola rosea, and then Bacopa. Man, like, guys, these things are great. They're healthy. You can take them in good servings. You can take them 2 or 3 times per day. It's unfortunate that more people don't know about them. Nawaf says, talk about Noopept. Do you take it regularly like the Racetams? And talk about oxyracetam and compare it to Noopept and stack them together. Noopept, is you need to, if you do take it, either just buy it in the pill form. That's you're better off doing that, because with Noopept, the serving size is so small. Like, look at the size of this versus ashwagandha, right? You know, or versus Bacopa. So it goes to show you how potent this is. The only thing else I can think of which is as potent is like Panics ginseng. Very potent stuff. So if you are to take it, I prefer it sublingually, and my hands are clean. But what that means is just putting it under your tongue. Little Noopept trick. It's so much more powerful if you just like sprinkle a little bit under your tongue, like just like that. You have to really be experienced in order to pretty much eyeball the dose, because it's a substance that if you have to use a scale for, like a very, very small scale. It's one of the most powerful nootropics, like which is moderately safe, which is going to increase your focus. And some signs that it's increasing your focus are that it's such like when you take it, you'll be watching the clock more, you'll be more on your schedule, you're more willing to take action and be courageous, maybe start some new projects. It's similar to oxyracetam, but oxyracetam, it lasts for a longer period of time. Noopept is such, it will last maybe 2 to 3 hours max. And yeah, you can stack them together because oxyracetam will help you in different ways. And be mindful of that, because a lot of people have asked about one particular racetam. The racetams work best when they're combined. Like my paracetam, I did not notice much from until I took it with other racetams. And you'll just find it makes the whole stack better. Like paracetam with aniracetam makes the adracetam more useful. Should I try Huperzine A again? Maybe intermediately, because it helped with my memory quite significantly, but I was also kind of overstimulated and all. That's a good question. I don't know. Huperzine A is not that stimulating. I would recommend that if you take coffee or you take caffeine at all, then have your Huperzine A with the caffeine, and you'll be able to get away with taking less of it. For example, like L-Tyrosine, it works, but it works better and synergistically with caffeine. If I know what other nootropics and his name is someone, if I know what other nootropics you have in your arsenal, then I can better direct you, because Huperzine A, it wouldn't even go in my top 20, if that. Everyone, I hope that's helpful. I'm going to hop off now. Appreciate your comments and your feedback. We'll look forward to doing this again. If you'd like to support me, then head over to Patreon, patreon.com. I think I only have maybe 6 or 7 I only have maybe 7 Patreons, which means followers. So I'm really able to work with them one-on-one. Unfortunately, with YouTube, you're not able to send private messages. And I realize that everybody wants like a judgment-free zone to some extent. People may not be comfortable disclosing particulars about their stack or about nootropics. So that's the place to do it, over on Patreon.